The Tequila Worm by Viola Canales. Chapter 4. Easter Cascarones. It was Lent. I stayed close to Mama as she stood in front of her big cast iron skillet, a carton of eggs next to the stove. She took an egg, turned its pointy end to the top, and then went tap, tap, tap all around with the teaspoon. She peeled off the pieces of eggshell, leaving a small hole, and poured the egg into the frying pan, which was sizzling with oil and slices of onion. The egg white fell into the pan like a waterfall in slow motion, and the bright orange ball finally popped out. Mama handed me the empty eggshell, while she did the same thing to the second egg. I carefully washed out the shell. I set it on the windowsill by the kitchen sink, its little hole facing down so it could dry. We did this to the other 7 eggs Mama used to make breakfast that morning. We ate eggs, and nothing but eggs all during Lent. And although my favorite eggs were sunny side up, eggs with a happy face, during those weeks I only ate scrambled or sometimes very soft-boiled eggs. I didn't mind because this meant that many more cartons of cascarones for Easter. As the 40 days of Lent marched on, towers of egg cartons grew on top of the refrigerator. 7 days before Easter, I counted 15 cartons. "We've won! We've won!" I yelled, jumping up and down. But then Berta walked in. 15? That's nothing. We've got 17, she said, baring her big fat teeth. Liar! No one could possibly be eating more eggs than we were. I rushed across the street to her house and counted and then recounted the cartons on top of her refrigerator. 17. Cheater, I said. Some of those cartons are empty. Or missing some. I ran home. We aren't eating enough eggs, I told Papa, who was sitting in the kitchen tuning his old guitar. Papa laughed and shook his dark-haired head. Mija, we have too many eggs already. You'll see, especially when it's time for you and your little sister to turn them into cascarones on Good Friday. That evening, I secretly poured a whole carton of eggs down the kitchen sink. On Good Friday, Papa called me and Lucy to the porch. Mama did her part collecting all these eggs. Now it's your turn. He moved the rocking chair and the plants in coffee cans to one side. Then he handed us a stack of old newspapers and helped us spread them on the cement floor. Lucy and I brought out the egg cartons. 20! Papa appeared with a big brown paper bag. As Lucy and I sat on the porch, the stacks of egg cartons towering around us, Papa sat down on an overturned pail. He opened a carton and handed an eggshell to each of us. He put his eggshell onto his left index finger like a finger puppet. He opened the bag, took out a red crayon, and quickly drew a bird on the egg. With the pink crayon, he drew a flower and gave it a green stem and 2 leaves. The yellow crayon produced a butterfly. Papa spun his pretty egg around his finger. We clapped as he placed it back inside the carton, its small hole pointing up. He popped another egg onto his finger. He took the black crayon and drew piercing eyes like the Mexican revolutionary hero Zapata, bushy eyebrows, long nose, smiling mouth. Then a pencil-thin mustache. He colored dark brown hair on the sides and back. Your Papa, he said, laughing as he spun the egg and then put it into the carton. A third egg was colored orange. His fourth was decorated with bright blue stars. The 5th became a pinto bean, spots and all. Then Papa stood up. Your turn. Start coloring. Use your imaginations. I'll stop by to check on you. My first egg broke completely as I tried to draw a purple cat. The second egg was actually going quite well until I tried coloring near the top and the little hole became a huge gaping one. Then I just put a bunch of polka dots and check marks all over my eggs. I also drew a face or two, although I could never get the eyes to look like eyes, especially on the egg I did of Berta. but I got her big fat teeth right. And Lucy was doing even worse. If only I had an older sister, one who could be helpful. Lucy drew our cousin Linda dancing at her recent quinceañera on her next egg, big white dress, crown and all. I can't wait to turn 15 and have my quinceañera, she said, spinning it to show me. Nice, I said. The party was fun, but I don't care about a quinceañera. Lucy said, You're crazy, as she added a big pink cake on the egg. Next, I drew the weird pantyhose baby doll Mama had made us using her old pair of stockings. After about an hour, Papa popped his head out the screen door. We were only starting on the third carton and fading fast. He laughed. Keep going. You still have 17 cartons left to go. Ages later, he appeared with a cold pitcher of lemonade, a big cheese quesadilla cut into triangles like a pizza, and a chocolate bar. We perked up. Lucy and I glowed, showing him the cats and birds we'd drawn, the funny faces and the strange and psychedelic designs. We even showed him the carton of the weak, wounded, and dead. The eggs we'd cracked or broken altogether. Don't worry, he said. We can still save them. Wait and see. He brought out his old guitar and serenaded us with his favorite song, De Colores. As Lucy and I drank lemonade and devoured the quesadilla and chocolate, his brown and white boots kept time. De calores se visten los campos en la primavera. Y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí. Papa rested his guitar on his lap and pointed to the cartons. 15 to go. My fingers were throbbing from holding the crayons too hard, and to think I had wanted even more eggs. Papa said, I have a surprise. He reached inside the paper bag and took out a pink box with a picture of a yellow chick and a rabbit. The rabbit was coloring a giant Easter egg with a small paintbrush. We went into the kitchen where he set 8 styrofoam cups on the table. He poured water into each one and then a spoonful of white vinegar. He opened the box and took out 8 colored tablets. We took turns choosing. I got red, green, purple, and yellow. Papa said, drop 1 tablet into each cup. I felt a jolt of joy as the green tablet fizzed and sizzled and filled the cup with a cloud of emerald green. The red tablet dazzled with its deep ruby explosion. The other cups held yellow, blue, pink, orange, purple, and violet. Magic. Papa helped us carry the cups out to the porch, handed us each a spoon, and then showed us how to color 15 boxes of eggshells in the blink of an eye. The next day, he brought out a plastic bag filled with round paper jewels of all colors called confetti. He filled each egg by feeding the confetti through the little hole on top. Now, with paper jewels scattered over the porch and us, Papa said, you can each take one of the eggs and fill it with anything you want, so long as it won't hurt anyone. As he began to cut circles from a thick roll of crepe paper, I picked up the egg with Berta's face and big teeth on it. The day before, Berta had shouted, we're still the winners, 21 cartons. Lucy and I ran off to fill our special eggs with something secret. I sneaked into the kitchen, opened the cabinet under the sink, and filled my egg with flour. Back on the porch, Lucy grinned and hid hers behind her back. There were more than 100 yellow circles of crepe paper as big as $50 scattered around Papa. As Lucy and I coaxed each other to reveal what we had put in our secret eggs, Papa went inside and returned with a big bowl of thick white goo. This is Mexican paste, flour and water. Now we'll paste the crowns on the eggs. He took one of my emerald eggs and dipped a finger into the goo. He rubbed it around the little hole. took one of the yellow paper circles and put it over the top of the hole. Then he pressed the edges of the paper circle onto the egg. He held up the green egg with its bright yellow crown. He shook it, making the confetti rattle inside. Now you do it. Lucy and I sat there for hours until the sun finally set. By then, we were not only streaked and colored from the previous day's crayons and dyes and markers, but also covered with confetti and bits of crepe paper and gobs of goo. But we were experts at transforming empty white eggs into magical cascarones. After I had endured the long Easter Mass, wearing a white cardboard hat with an elastic around my chin, and after I had traveled miles and miles in the car holding my Easter basket filled with a chocolate bunny and candy, Easter eggs just screaming to be eaten, we finally got to the park near Falcon Dam. Lucy and I tore out of the car and met up with all our friends and relatives, including Berta, who now claimed to have won with a total of 25 cartons of eggs. Our fathers barbecued colossal cuts of meat and rings of thick, spicy sausages on silver coals of mesquite. The mothers talked and took walks, admiring the wildflowers, the birds, and the big blue sky. I told Berta, "All your cartons are disqualified since you didn't even bother to color them." She shot back, "You have too many broken ones." Then Lucy spotted a tiny brown bunny under a bush, so we all started chasing it, trying to claim it as our pet. After the meal, when we were stuffed with candy, it was time for the cascarones. While we closed our eyes and turned our backs, the grown-ups hid the eggs. I prayed I would find them most of all. When we heard the whistle, I popped my eyes open, empty Easter basket in hand. The landscape was completely covered with cascarones, as though they had fallen like rain from the sky, sprinkling trees, bushes, and the ground. After we all scurried around collecting, we ran wild, smashing the cascarones on each other's heads. The fathers and mothers took eggs and smashed them too. It was a riot of laughter and paper jewels and bits of bright eggshells flying and falling everywhere and on everyone. Then I snuck up behind Berta and smashed my secret egg hard on the very top of her even harder head. Her bewildered face turned completely white with a big poof of flour. She growled, bared her teeth, and let me have it with her secret egg, filled with thick yellow mustard. As I kicked the air and swiped at the yellow gobs on my hair, face, and stinging eyes, I could hear Berta's big fat laugh. Then, silence. There was Berta with real egg running down her hair and face mixing with the flour. She was spitting and glaring at someone. I turned to see Lucy smiling from ear to ear, no longer holding her secret egg. As we drove home, I turned to Lucy. "Berta must smell like one big fat rotten egg." Mama laughed. "I finally had to pour a bottle of Clorox down the kitchen sink to kill the smell you caused by putting those 12 perfectly good eggs down the drain." Papa smiled into the rearview mirror. "And remember, Sophia, your little sister won the competition with Berta for you at the end, and with just one egg." I beamed at Lucy, feeling so lucky to have her on my side.